welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So fun.
I am super excited to have you on the show because I love interviewing people who have disrupted, and I think that's kind of what you've done with the legal profession and industry. And we're going to get into all of that. And I want to determine if every girlfriend who's called me a narcissist in the past was right. So I'm going to see. I'm going to see if the way they think of what a narcissist is and what I actually was is accurate, because you are the authority on that. In fact, you have courses on that, and we're going to talk all about that. But what I'd like to do is, I think a good jumping off point would be to start with your background. And you have a really unique background in your nationality. You are Chinese and German. Which I feel like there's a joke. I was trying to think of some
I
joke.
always say I have no fun genes whatsoever. It's like so intense all the time. I know, it's like so crazy, right? My dad's Chinese, my mom's German, so it's so intense.
What do you feel? Do you feel more German or do you feel more Chinese?
Definitely more Chinese, because my dad was from Shanghai. His family, he actually came over as a teenager with his family and his younger siblings through Ellis Island. During the, right at the start of the Second World War, they were escaping the Japanese coming in, and their mantra was burn all, kill all, rape all. It was like the whole rape of Nanking, and then they came into Shanghai and were doing the same thing to the Shanghainese people. My grandfather was able to get a merchant visa. There was still a moratorium on allowing Chinese people into this country at the time. It was a big deal to be able to even get into this country because of the law against allowing Chinese people here at the time. So he was actually able to start a business with two Jewish guys in the garment district of New York City. And that's how he ended up getting here. My dad ended up becoming a physician. He went to Columbia Medical School because, it was a big deal. So I was very, very Chinese in my house. My dad was an anesthesiologist. My mom was a operating room nurse. That's how they met.
Oh, no kidding. It's like a pilot and a flight attendant. Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to take you back to being 30 years old. Do you remember that? Remember being 30? It
was just last year. What the hell are you talking about?
It was 2 years ago. Come on, you're trying to lie. You at 30, you found yourself going through a divorce, right? Which a lot of I did. I get it. Like,
I had gotten married at 19 the first time and had 3 kids by the time I was 23.
Which is insanity. Like, what was? I mean, I was going.
That was my version of rebelling, by the way.
Okay, that's what you did. It. So you're like, I'm gonna have 3 kids. Well, who had the last? Who had the last laugh?
I know, exactly. Exactly.
All right. So you found yourself at 30 going through a divorce, and you decided, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer while you're going through this divorce, right? Why?
Because I realized, maybe my dad wasn't so stupid after all. Like, maybe because, lawyer, doctor, those were the only 2 options, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it about law that made you say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer? Was it more logical? Like, I'll make money and I'll provide for my family?
I had a bachelor's degree. I had finished my bachelor's when my kids were babies. They were 5, 4, and 2. And I finally finished school, and I was teaching school in inner city Fort Lauderdale at the time. I had moved to Florida, and I was teaching. Literally all of the students were on free and reduced lunch, and I was teaching school. And I remember I was sitting on the playground watching the students, and one of the teachers said to me that one of the teachers had gotten out and was like an administrator. And one of the other teachers said to me, "Oh, he got out, but you and me, we're stuck here. We'll be here forever." And I remember looking at her going, "Maybe you are, but I'm not. I'm getting the hell out of here." And that day, I remember looking into University of Miami had a night program, and for law school, and it was literally because law school. First of all, my dad, lawyer, doctor, those were the only options, and law school, all you had to have was a bachelor's degree, LSAT and a bachelor's. That's all you needed. You didn't need any prerequisites other than a bachelor's. And so all I needed to do was sign up to take the LSAT. So I signed up for a Kaplan course to figure out how to take the LSAT. And that's what I did. And I applied to a night program for law school.
How long does it take when you do it at night to get a degree?
Well, when you're half Chinese and half German, it still just took the 3 years.
Because you were just balls to the walls. You were all in. And you
I went summers and yeah. And I do have to say, even though my ex-husband and I got divorced, we were still on very good terms. We still are. I mean, neither of my husband are narcissists, I do have to say. And I met my current husband in law school, and we've been married for 21 years. And
you guys have a firm together. You guys went
we did.
Marital,
we don't
law,
anymore. Right? Yeah, I mean, we don't anymore. I'm not. Yep. I'm a partner at another firm, and I mean, I don't run a firm anymore. I did, but I don't anymore.
All right, we're gonna get into that. I want to talk a little bit about work-life balance with that, but before we do, I want to talk to you about marital law. When I think about what that, like, I remember going through my own divorce, and it was horrible. Like, it was a shit show. It was a disaster. It was like, I'm killing her, she's killing me, the kids, all of that. Well, first, why marital law? Like, what was it that attracted you to that, especially since you went through your own divorce?
Yeah, I mean, when I did my own divorce, I literally, I got like the forms and I filled them out and I turned them into the clerk. I mean, first of all, we had no money, and I mean, I was still in law school and whatever. I mean, it was nothing. And I was in my 20s, basically still. Yep. So that was nothing. And so, when but and that was the only divorce I've had, because I've been married to my second husband continuously. So, but what happened was, when I was in law school, my husband was a year ahead of me, and he got a job in Naples, which was 2 hours from Miami. And he got a job as a prosecutor in Naples. And so I went to this dinner, prosecutor's dinner, and we sat with this judge that he was appearing in front of all the time. And the judge's wife happened to be Victoria Ho, who was like one of the top family law attorneys in Florida at the time. She was actually known nationally. And she had been representing all of these big time billionaire celebrities. And she had this massive firm. I had actually wanted to do like transactional business law. I had actually won the book award. I was on Law Review and all this stuff for, that. And she convinced me. She was half Chinese. She had had 3 kids. She had been divorced before. We had all these weird Kismet Twilight Zone things in common. And she convinced me to come work for her while I was still in law school. And said, hey, my cases are so big, they're basically like business transactions. And, she basically convinced me to come work for her. And it was such an amazing opportunity to work for somebody like her. And in at that time, getting a job like that straight out of law school was an incredible opportunity. And that's really how it happened. It kind of chose me. So
What
that's how it came
what did
about.
marital law teach you about marriage?
Here's what I know. Here's what I know. That's a good question. And you know what? That's a question I hardly ever get. I will say. And that is to stay married, you just have to be committed to being committed.
Full stop. Full stop.
Full stop. Yeah. I mean,
unpack that a little bit. What's underneath that?
I mean, as somebody who's been married for going on 22 years now, I mean, it's work. I mean, my husband and I do love each other. I mean, we definitely do, but you have to be committed to being committed. You know, there are lots of times where you could just go, you know what this is like, what do you need this for? I mean, you know, there are lots of times it's great and you're having a great time and you love each other and you're laughing and it's fun. But there are definitely times when you're like, oh my God, this is so painful and hard. And you know, you just, the easy way out would be to go, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. And the hard part is to go, I'm going to just sit here and work it out. I'm going to grow with this and I'm going to grow through this with you. And we're going to learn how to communicate and we're going to do the hard work together. I mean, and so you have to be committed to being committed and want to be with this person and be committed to that person. I mean, that's.
Have you ever found people that came into your office where you're like, you guys should not be getting divorced. You're just going through a rough patch. This is not the case. Or is it by the time they had gotten to you that it was just too late?
I say that it's difficult if you have what I call the 3 A's. To stay together, which is abuse, addiction, or adultery. So if you have one of those present, then, or more than one of those, then I call them the 3 deadly sins of marriage: abuse, addiction, or adultery. You know, once you have any of those, because those are the things that to me are, you know, they erode at the foundation of the trust piece of it. And so I think those are hard to come back from.
I'm thinking about that now, and I'm thinking, if there was abuse, how do you come back from it? If you're addicted, you can go into recovery, but that's probably not fun. And adultery, that one's really hard to come back. So that's good. I like that. Good news is so far I'm doing good. I don't have any of those. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about work-life balance with you. I'm still with you practicing law with 4 kids. So, you know, back in
Florida. So now I have a 4th one because my current husband and I have a 19-year-old, by the way. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, congratulations. By the way, I have a 24-year-old and a 7-year-old. Can you imagine? And I'm 55. That's interesting. So now you got 4, and you've got, you know, 50 multi-million-dollar clients that you're dealing with. How did you maintain a semblance of fulfillment in your life at that point?
I didn't. That's why I ended up merging my practice with 2 other guys 4 years ago, and moved to California and, you know, decided to do other things. I mean, I was actually just watching the big interview with Dan Rather and Steve Perry on YouTube recently. You know, it's a really interesting interview, and he was talking about how the reason why he walked away from Journey. It's really good interview. And it's the full interviews on YouTube. And it was just a couple months ago, it just came out. And he talked about how it just becomes like this jealous mistress. It's like this thing that you wanted, but it demands more and more of your time. And I set out to be the top attorney in that area. Naples is a very affluent community, and it's, they say it's the #1 millionaires per capita in the country. I believe that it is. Naples is the only city in the world other than Shanghai that has 2 Ritz-Carltons. So that tells you how affluent it is. It is a very, very affluent community, and I had the #1 family law practice there. I was the #1 stop for every single one of those affluent people. And so what happens though, is that people would take it personally if I couldn't take their case. You're not taking my case. And these are people with lots and lots of money. And so they're like, you're not taking my sister's case, you're not taking my best friend's case. And it's a personal matter for them. It's their children, it's their business, it's their, and they expect you to be at their beck and call, even if it's weekends or it's 11 o'clock at night or it's whatever. And my daughter, who's now 19, was just starting high school, and I realized that she was growing up and I wasn't seeing it, and it was just became not worth it for me anymore. And so, and because Naples is a small community, there's really nothing around it. I mean, you can't go home and be away from it. You can't go even get a massage and be away from it. You can't go to dinner and be away from it, because, the closest city is 2 hours away. It's Tampa is 2 hours away. Fort Lauderdale is 2 hours away. Miami is 2 hours away. It's like an island almost. And so I had to move away to get away from it. And even when I first moved, I had people saying, I will fly you back. I had people flying me back, paying all my expenses to fly me back to represent them. And which sounds wonderful, but it literally, I had no life. And I had to just figure out a way to carve out space for myself. And so this new way of being for me is so much better because I'm serving people through YouTube, through my courses. And it's so much more satisfying to me because, I have 1.5 million views a month on YouTube right now. I feel like I'm actually serving people in such a greater capacity. They purchase my courses. I do webinars for, a couple thousand people at a time. It's so much more satisfying to me because I feel like I'm actually being able to use my skills. I feel like I'm almost like the universe has given me an answer on how to use my skills and use me as a conduit for the world in a way that has allowed me to be able to breathe and serve people in a much better, healthier way for me and also for the world.
What brought you specifically to LA from Florida?
My husband, he lived out here before law school, and he had always wanted to come back here. He talked about it from the minute I met him. Mm-hmm. And, he's always been a Dodger fan, a Rams fan. Like, this is like, he always wanted to come back here. And I'd always said, I'm not moving to California. That's crazy. Like, it was way too far away. And then when I just was like so exhausted, I just thought, maybe California is that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. it's like, yeah, maybe. And then my daughter at the time was doing a lot of, um, acting and modeling, and so she was up for it. And my husband had clients out here, and I have a cousin out here, and it just started to sound like, I don't
Why not?
know, maybe not, maybe sounds good. Yeah.
And how do you feel now at this stage of your life where you're moving into, I'll just make up a word here, you're moving into a more Zen existence, and you're in the land of sunshine and beach and chilled, laid back surfers. I know right where you are in Manhattan Beach because it's tiny, tiny, tiny. I surfed every week in Manhattan Beach, so I know it very well, right down at the pier. It's a beautiful lifestyle. Is that lifestyle lending itself in a positive way to this stage of your life, or do you feel antsy because you're hungry for more action?
No, I think it's perfect. I mean, I still have, I'm still a partner at a firm in Florida. And so I do get to go back there and see my law partners, and I originate cases. And so I still get to keep my hand in it. We still have a condo in Florida.
Yep.
So I get to, still enjoy the benefit of that. And we have a home here. So I'm 10 minutes from LAX, which 10 minutes
Great.
from going anywhere I want.
Yep.
And, so we have the small town feeling of Manhattan Beach, but, everything that LA has to offer.
You have access to.
Yes. And so to me, it's the best of all worlds. And, um, I get to create videos here, and I've created courses and a membership. So I have a membership now, and I'm creating a certification program for for coaches. And I've got all kinds of incredible things that are coming out of what I've been doing now. It's just, I'm so excited. I have this whole huge team on what I've created now, on the digital side of my platform. And on top of, I still have my firm and that whole side of things now too. So it's pretty exciting, really
Let's dig
exciting.
into that. Let's dig into that a little bit. In 2018, you started Break Free from Divorce. What is that?
Mhm. Well, I started the digital courses, Breaking Free from Divorce. Just, that was sort of like my little teeny, uh, just foray into learning about. I heard Russell Brunson on a on a podcast, and I learned about ClickFunnels, and I did those classes were my first foray into into that. So I those were my first classes, the Breaking Free from Divorce master classes. So I have stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, and I have parenting plan master classes. So those were my very first ones. And now I do sell those still, and they actually sell pretty well. And then in 2020, I really started to get serious about YouTube. And that's when I started talking about how to negotiate with a narcissist. And I started Slay Your Negotiation with a Narcissist classes. And those have sold literally thousands in the last year and a half. And so, and I have the Breaking Free from Divorce courses as an upsell and a downsell inside that, and they sell tremendously there.
All right. So
So I have Slay for Divorce now and Slay for Business, by the way.
So you're doing both. All right. Let's
Mhm.
talk narcissist so people understand context. We hear this word used all the time, and it's usually, this would probably be politically incorrect, but there's usually a woman that's calling a man a narcissist. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's not true.
Oh, is it the other way around too?
Yeah, 40% of my viewers on YouTube are men.
Amazing. Okay, cool. What is a narcissist? Just so we understand the definition.
So it's a spectrum, just so you know. But there is, all the way at the end of the spectrum, there is a legit personality disorder that is identified by the DSM-5 that psychologists and psychiatrists use. That is a person that has no inner sense of value, and they have to derive all of their inner sense of value, or they attempt to, from external sources. So they're just very, very fragile on the inside. So they attempt to try to extrapolate all of their sense of value from external sources. But it's a black hole. They never actually get there. So they try to do it from, things like adulation, compliments, big houses, big, prestigious job, prestigious friends, all that sort of thing, right? That's what I call the grade A diamond level supply. Narcissistic supply is like the layering on of those things. But the dark underbelly of narcissistic supply, because I think there's a hierarchy of supply, is what I call coal level supply. And that's the devaluing people, debasing people, diminishing people. So they attempt to try to boost themselves by abusing people, treating people poorly. So that's the other side of it as well. So it's coupled with, by the way, no sense of empathy, care, or feeling for other people. So because the problem is they're just in constant survival mode. If you kind of just think of a person that what happened is something happened in their childhood that made them feel that the world is a scary place. It's almost like, I have no food. So therefore, in order to survive, I have to scratch and, all the time. And so in order for me to survive, I have to, and so you can't, so therefore I can't give you any, because then I won't have. And so they just can't care about anybody else. And that's why they have no sense of empathy. So that's why it's like, if somebody says my dog died or something, they don't care. They literally do not care about anybody else other than themselves.
So how do you negotiate with the terrorists?
Yeah, well, you have to think about that that's what you're dealing with at all times. So there's a variety of different ways that you can do that, but you have to constantly be thinking about that is what you're dealing with at all times. Normally when you're negotiating with people, you can think about, oh, what's incentivizing this person? Is it, is it money? Is it time? Is it, so you always want to think about what's incentivizing the other side. But when you're thinking about a narcissist, you just know that what's incentivizing them is that narcissistic supply. So using my SLAY methodology, you have to develop a strategy, of course. You have to develop leverage. You have to anticipate what they're going to do and be 2 steps ahead of them. And you have to focus on you, your case, your position. And people forget about, number one, having a strategy, because they're constantly in defensive mode all the time. And so they're constantly thinking, they're doing this, they're doing that, focusing on them, focusing on them. They forget about having an offensive strategy. And so I tell people all the time, if, good football teams, if all they have is a good defense, no one's scoring any points. So they forget about the fact that they have to step back and actually have an offensive strategy. They forget about the fact that they actually have to step back and actually have a goal to win. What is it that you actually want? It's so funny to me sometimes when I sit down to coach somebody, I go, what is it that you actually want? And they have to step back and they go, oh yeah, what is it that I actually want? Like they actually haven't even thought about what is it that they want. Because you actually have to be pretty specific. What is it that you want? Where is it that you actually want to go? Write it down. What's your vision? Be specific. Where do you want to go? And then create an action plan. So that's your strategy. Where do you want to go? Write it down, create an action plan. Where do you want to go? How are you going to get there? And then you got to create your leverage. So how are you going to get there? Okay, so leverage is really, really important. And then this is the thing about leverage. A lot of people go, oh, I just want what's fair. I don't want to fight. I just, maybe I'll just give them what they want and I'll just walk away. Well, here's the problem. A lot of people think narcissists just want to win. That is a myth. That is a myth because narcissists don't just want to win. That only takes into account the grade A diamond level supply, how they look. It forgets about the coal level supply. The coal level supply is that dark underbelly of supply that I was just talking about. They also enjoy jerking you around. That's why they constantly move goalposts. That's why even if they have given you an offer and you accept it, and they go back and you go, okay, here you go, I accept your offer. And they go, oh, sorry, that offer is no longer on the table, or that offer has changed and now it's different. Now it's, I'll take the terms that I want to hold you to, but I want to change the deal. I want more, or this, that, and the other thing. The reason is because they enjoy jerking you around. It's that dark underbelly piece. They enjoy needling you. It's like the kid that takes a pin to the earthworm and they enjoy seeing the earthworm move around. It's because they like that part of it. It's fun to them.
What attracted you to narcissists in particular? Was there something in your own life? Was there what was it?
So after, and I try not to get into too much of specifics just because I don't want to have to deal with, backlash or whatever. But after I merged my practice, I did do some business, go into some various business situations, just because I was interested in creating different entrepreneurial things. And one of the business endeavors that I went into, I got into business with a person that was so definitely a covert narcissist. And it was absolutely one of the worst, most heinous, horrible experiences of my life. It was a nightmare. And I didn't know, I'd never heard of a covert narcissist before. And it was a woman, by the way. And it wasn't even a romantic situation for me. It was a business situation. And it was awful. absolutely awful. And my husband and I have a family member who's a covert narcissist as well. And it was, about 2 years ago now that we had a friend who was happened to be a psychologist who pointed it out to us, and said, "Oh, that person's a covert narcissist." And I was like, "What is that? I never heard of that before." And suggested that we read a book on it. And I got the book and was reading it on the airplane. And it was 2 years ago now in December. I was heading somewhere for Christmas. So it was probably 2 years ago, like right now. And I was like literally on the airplane reading this book. And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" Because I was like out loud going, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. This is that person. I know. Oh my gosh." And it literally blew my mind. And that's when I was like, realized I could apply this to everything I've been teaching on negotiation. I've been speaking on negotiation for probably 15 or 20 years at that point. And I mean, I had been the keynote speaker on negotiation for the American Bar Association. I had already written Negotiate Like You Matter, where Robert Shapiro wrote the foreword. And, I had been doing all this on negotiation for years, and realized, oh, I could apply all this to negotiation. Started reading everything I could on narcissism. And I was still practicing law at that point. So I started applying it to my cases and started seeing massive movement. Decided to write the course, Layer Negotiation with a Narcissist. Started doing the YouTube videos. My life exploded at that
It's amazing.
point.
So you hit a nerve with people and they went, "Oh, I am picking up what she's putting down. This is going on in my life. I need this." And YouTube right now is the second biggest search engine in the world.
Yep.
People are just, so you're tapping into it and you're building. It's a land grab right now for you. So that's incredible. And you don't get that many views if you're not doing great shit. So that's great that you put in quality content out there. I want to talk a little bit about.
So even though it was like the most horrible thing that happened to me, in some ways it,
Oh yeah, for sure.
You got to turn your
sure.
pain into power, right?
Well, listen, I think contrast creates clarity. I think every time you have some contrast in your life, you go, okay, this is what I don't want. And then knowing what you don't want will automatically tell you what you do want, because you're like, I don't want this. Well, okay, great. You don't want this. What do you want? Kind of to your point earlier about when you're coaching somebody, and it's very frustrating, I'm sure, when you're like, "Well, what do you want?" And they're like, I don't know. Like, you never thought about it? Like, you never thought about, like, we're literally at this point where I'm coaching you and you don't know what you want, So, it's great. You wrote a book, you mentioned a moment ago, called Negotiate Like You Matter, the surefire method to step up and win. What was the impetus to write that book? Why did you write a book on negotiation?
I had been speaking about it for years, and crazy enough, I had been dealing with that narcissist in my life. Although I didn't know she was a narcissist, I just knew that it was awful. And I had been, I just knew I wanted to get this person out of my life. And I had literally been at the top of a mountain with my family. In
Maui, right?
In Maui. Yeah. And it was that summer, and in Haleakala, if anybody's ever been to this top of this mountain. And it's like, we were with another family, and the other family was like, "Oh, we have to do this. We have to get up in the middle, sunrise." And you get up in the middle of the night like 2 o'clock in the morning or something to go up in this sunrise. And I just thought, this is insane. And it's freezing. And I thought, what in the heck are we doing? It just seemed crazy to me. And you get up there and you just, it's absolute heaven on earth. It is so stunning. You definitely have to do it if if anybody's ever listening. And I'm up there with my husband and my daughter, and it's amazing. And what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about that damn fucking narcissist. Like, and what is she doing? And like, how they get in your brain, right? You just start ruminating on this thing. And normally in your everyday life, you don't even really realize how you're ruminating on it, because it's like you get up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you're working. But at that moment, it was, you talk about the contrast, right? I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? Why am I thinking about this person now? Like, I'm up here with my family, this moment. And I just thought, no, this is wrong. Like, what the hell? I'm not letting her here at this moment. This is not okay. And it was just like, I just had this like aha moment of like, I get to control my thoughts, and I get to control like having this person in my life. And it just made me realize, oh, but I could do this anytime. Like, I could get to control my thoughts anytime. And it just was such an aha moment for me. And I just thought, oh no, I got to get this person out of my life. Like, this is just so not okay. And I had like this, this moment of like clarity. Like, if I'm thinking about her and anytime I'm thinking about any person or anything in my life that's just not healthy or not serving me or not vibrationally, high, high vibration, that is bringing me down, and I'm not in creation mode, that I'm in victim mode at that time. And it's not serving me, and I'm not serving the world, and I'm not using my gifts. And I literally realized in that moment that I'm not allowing that anymore. And I came down from that mountain and just decided I had got to get out of this relationship, and I'm finishing this book, and I had started this book, and I just decided, I will give time to what I need to do to get out of that relationship, but no other time, nothing else. Whatever I need to do to get out of that relationship, fine. But the rest of my time is going to be serving, what I need to do to high vibration. And I'm defending my light with my life, and I'm allowing nothing else in other than light, than high vibration people, high vibration thoughts. And that's it. And being really super aware of that. And from there, I finished that book, and I sent it out for testimonials to people. And one of the people I sent it out to was Robert Shapiro. I didn't even know him. But I sent him a really, personalized note, and he immediately said, call me. And like within an hour or two. And so I called him, and he offered to write the foreword for it. And that's how that came about. And from there, he invited me to his Brent Shapiro Gala, which I went to. I got to meet him in person, and like we've become, friendly. I mean, it's like it was like magic started to happen. And then from there, I've created this YouTube channel, and my world has opened up. And because I've been so aware of vibrational power and keeping my light high, and it was like magic happened from there.
That was incredible. That was incredible. We can end right now. That was really damn good. That was like a mic drop moment. That was amazing. I made the assumption in my research that Robert Shapiro had an office in your building and you guys knew each other. Like the fact that you just told the story that way and having it wrapped in that magic and having that bubble of high vibe people is really what is you're creating a vibrational match for what's out there, and it's just coming back to you. So that's beautiful. Okay, we're going to link up to all of your products and your YouTube channel and everything underneath this video and inside of the podcast. But before we wrap, I'm going to ask you a few weird questions. So just roll with it. You'll be like, why the hell is he asking me these questions? What do people often get wrong about you?
Get wrong about me. Get wrong about me. I would say they think that I'm super I just strong or something, I think that they don't realize that I'm actually very warm and I think sometimes much more vulnerable than I actually am.
What is one thing that you have not gotten to in your life? And if you don't get to this, you're really going to have massive regret.
Learning French.
Interesting. What are some things that you're currently doing that you don't love and you wish you could do less of? And in the future, you're going to have systems set up so that you don't have to do this anymore.
Probably a lot more of the operational stuff in my business that, a lot of the micro stuff in my business that I probably shouldn't be doing.
What's one rule that you have for yourself that you're never going to break? Like, this is my rule and I'm not breaking it.
I write 10 things that I'm grateful for every morning in a gratitude journal. Taught to me personally by Bob Proctor when he coached me. He gave me an hour of free coaching when I interviewed him, and I didn't even ask him for it.
He's great. He's great.
Love him.
I'm friends with Lewis Howes for the last 20 years, and he's been on this show a bunch of times. He started this self-help movement a long time ago. What new behavior or habit has most improved your life?
New behavior or habit has most improved my life. I mean, probably that. I mean, just, I would say interviewing Bob Proctor, interviewing Gary Zukav, getting to interview. The best part about deciding to be in this high vibration and matching my vibrational energy to this where I'm at now is getting to meet the most incredible people. Oh
yeah. Yeah. I've not met Gary Zukov. He's the Seat of the Soul guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet that's incredible. What is an unusual or absurd thing that you love? People be like, that's weird that she likes that. Is there anything that is a little unusual? Some people might even say it's absurd, but you love it.
Gosh, unusual or weird, but I love it. Gosh, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I probably salt. I probably like salt too much.
It's awesome. If you could spend 1 month anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh, definitely Provence. I love Provence. That is my dream. That's where my Peloton, I always have it in like the south of France, how you can like pick your like spots in the Peloton. I always do the bike rides in Provence.
It's magical. A little bicycle
Yeah.
with a flower basket in the front and
Yes, like with the
a baguette,
baguettes. I was just
with
gonna say
the
that with the
yeah,
camembert cheese and like the
yeah,
yes, like a
yeah,
little rosé. Yeah,
it's magical, magical.
yeah.
Are there any positions or opinions, could be in the last few years, or even way back, that you've changed your mind substantially about, where you used to think like, I used to think this way, but I don't think this way anymore.
Um, I don't know. I would say definitely, probably my politics have changed um, a, a lot. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, I would just say, without getting into it, I'm not going to talk
Yeah,
about politics on
you
here,
can't,
but I
right?
would just, what's that?
I said you can't, because the moment you do, you have 50% of the people that just completely
Yeah,
disagree
I
with you.
mean, I would just say that I'm not thrilled with the way it's all kind of gotten so polarized in the last several years. And I just wish that people would be a little bit more um, human with
Yeah,
each other.
that's why I moved to Italy.
Yeah.
It's that exact reason. Um,
Yeah. I wish people would see each other as human beings and see and honor the light in each other
mhm.
rather than
Fight.
be so polarized.
Who has had the greatest impact on your life?
My father.
Hmm. If you could narrow it down to one thing that has the greatest impact on your success, what would that be?
Uh, I, definitely execution. I mean, I think that that's the one thing that has the greatest impact on anybody's success. I think that it people just, if you would just execute, I mean, create a plan and execute on it. Do what you say you're going to do.
Hmm. Oh, I agree. It's always so frustrating when I hear somebody say, I don't want to tell anybody that." I'm like, do you have any idea how few people execute? Like, you could literally announce the greatest idea on YouTube out, and like the percentage of people that are actually going to execute on it is so small that you don't even have to worry about it. So I completely agree with you. Okay, two more questions. What is the best piece of advice that you find yourself sharing the most?
Um, let's see. The best piece of advice that I find myself sharing is you and you alone define your value. I think that's one of the things that I share a lot, especially in um, in negotiation. I think that's something that I share a lot. I mean, I share a lot of negotiation advice for sure, and people will think what you tell them to think. I mean, there's a piece of advice that I got when I was first starting my law firm, and because I went back, I was a lawyer, and then I was a financial advisor, and then I went back to being a lawyer. And I remember telling my business coach, like, oh, people are going to think I'm such a flake. And my business coach said, um, oh, well, you can tell people that by, how you kind of show up for the community. Like, oh, people are going to think I'm a flake. She goes, or you can tell the story that you're the only lawyer that has a financial background. She goes, so which story do you want to tell?
Great
And
coach.
yeah, and she goes, so, it depends on how you show up for yourself. And she goes, so how do you want to show up for yourself? And I said, oh, I guess I can tell the story that I'm the only lawyer that has a financial background. And she went, yeah. And so you know, the entire community saw me as that. And many people ended up hiring me because I was the only lawyer that had a financial background. And so people will think what you tell them to think. And so I share that piece of advice quite a lot.
That is really, really, really good piece of advice. Okay, last question. Let's change things up a little bit. What one question would you like to ask me?
What's the best piece of advice that you ever got?
I would say, God, I have so many rolling around in my head. I know. Do you?
Do you?
Do you? It's very easy for me to get caught up in what I should be doing, saying, acting, dressing, being. If I'm a podcaster, I should be in a studio. I should have a certain, I shouldn't curse. I shouldn't do blah, blah, blah. And I spent the better part of my life trying to fit in to whatever mold I was in and making sure that I looked the part, I sounded the part, but there was a piece of me that I was never sharing. And I found that as I've gotten older, the more that I am consistent with who I am really, the better my life is. And so someone gave me advice years ago, and they said, you know what, man, just do you, because it's the only thing you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how you're showing up, what you're saying, what you look like, what you sound like. If you're just you, it's easy because it's the only thing you really know how to do. And that's the best piece of advice.
I love that. Love that.
All right. Do you have any final words, suggestions, or an ask for people that are listening?
Yes. Well, I want to make sure people know that they can get my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet. It's a free ebook, 15 pages. Many people have won their entire negotiations on it. And they can get that at winmynegotiation.com. And that's the URL. And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that's youtube.com/Rebecca Zung ESQ. And if you type in negotiate with a narcissist, you will most definitely find me. I'm the only lawyer on the planet teaching people how to do that. So for sure you'll find me there. Or just type in my name and you'll find me. And I'm on Instagram, Rebecca Zung. So those are the places you'll find me.
All right. We're going to hook it all up. Rebecca, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to talk to you and meet you. Thank you so much for having me.